Welcome to Wisdom Inspired, a podcast designed to help high achievers to eliminate burnout and overwhelm. Now let's prepare to open our hearts, our minds, and our notebooks to receive today's wisdom. Coach Dorothy. So we're going to jump things off by talking about goals. Goals, yeah. Many of you listening have personal goals, business goals, family goals, financial goals, health goals. Perhaps you have some goals you're struggling to see come to fruition for one reason or another. Maybe you have too many goals or not enough goals. Perhaps you're looking at the latter part of the year and you want it to be a better part or better than the first part of the year. Or perhaps you're in the halftime. You're in the stretch. You're moving into the second half of your life. And you're wanting the second half of your life to be better than the first. If any of that resonated with you or hits home with you, you're in the right place. Because today's call is entitled Goals 7.0. Goals 7.0. So what is a goal? I'm sure that everybody listening knows what a goal is. But just in case you don't, just in case you need a refresher, a goal is defined as the end toward which an effort is directed, an aim. It's also an area or an object toward which players in various games attempt to advance a ball or a puck. One of my favorite all-time quotes by the late Zig Ziglar is, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. That is so very, very powerful. And I'm really excited to talk about this topic today because I'm looking forward to seeing what God has in store for us. I'm excited to see what revelation he has for us during our time together. So what does the scripture say, or what do the scriptures teach us about goals? How important are they? And when it comes to setting goals, how should we as believers approach them? Because we're peculiar. We are to operate in a different way than what the world operates. So setting goals is a way to faithfully steward resources and gifts that God has given to us. That's the first thing. In Luke 14, Jesus lays out some terms of discipleship and what it takes to be one of his followers. He gave an illustration of building a tower, and I believe that it provides some key points for setting goals, about our approach to setting goals, that it's a good idea to have goals. So Luke 14, verse 28 says, "For which of you, intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first and count the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it?" Verse 31, "Or what king, going to make war against another, sitteth not down first, and consult whether he be able with 10,000 to meet him that cometh against him with 20,000. There is so much deliciousness here that we could just land the plane just right there. Because that word intending means to purpose, to stretch, or to set forward in mind. Sit means to sit down or settle, dwell, hover over. Counted means to compute. Sufficient means enough, equal to the end that is proposed. Is it adequate to the wants? Do you have enough bandwidth sufficient for the project, in other words? In other words, which of you intending to stretch or set forward in mind to build a tower, a business, complete a project, would not sit down, dwell, hover, or deliberate over first and count or compute the cost to see whether you have sufficiency or enough capacity or bandwidth to finish it? Like, who does that? Oh, and this idea about counting the cost, that's about recognizing and agreeing to some terms and conditions. When you count the cost of entrepreneurship Oh, there's something you're going to have to give up. Not everybody's going to like what you say, what you do, how you look. Are you willing to give that up? There's going to be times when your decisions are not going to be popular with the world. There's times when you're going to feel like you're on this entrepreneurial journey all by yourself. Consider the cost. The scripture also teaches us to have a balanced approach when it comes to setting goals. Like, you may be setting goals and plans, but you need to do so with wisdom and humility. Because as stewards, our goals and our plans must be submissive to God and line up with his agenda and his plan. And so wisdom says we may think that things are going to look a certain way, but God, we know that God is sovereign, and he can and will change our plans to accomplish his greater purpose in and through us. And that's why Proverbs 3:5-6 says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not to thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. Humility helps us to understand that even with all of our planning, it doesn't guarantee that our goals are going to be met. So it's got to be infused with humility. James 4:13-14 says, now listen, you who say today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city, spend a year here, carry on business and make money, why, you don't even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while, and then poof, you vanish. Of course, I added a little, substance there. But anyway, the Bible also teaches us against two extremes. On one side, never setting goals. There are those that don't even set goals, believe it or not. And then on the other side, you don't set goals with no thought of God. And that's why in James 4:15 it says, instead you ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that. So it's a good idea to make plans as long as we leave room for God to change our plans. His goals, his plans take precedence over ours. In other words, we have our ideas and make our plans, but God ultimately will accomplish his sovereign desires. And so we should always be allowing room for the unexpected and be flexible in our goal settings. And I said that with so much emphasis because I am one that has to continually work on that. But this is how we can determine whether we love God's will or is it more about our own will. And finally, take comfort in knowing the word, comfort in the word. Matthew 6:33-34 says, seek ye first the kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. So I hope today's wisdom has inspired you. I hope you were empowered and encouraged by today's call, especially as it relates to goals and planning and goal setting. Understanding that it's a good idea to have goals and set goals. We are to approach our goals with wisdom and humility so that we can faithfully steward our assignment and the resources that's given to us. Remember, you can go to wisdominspired.net to find the links to the platforms where you can listen to the previous episodes, subscribe, and please leave us a review. And if you'd like to know more about our virtual co-working and collaborating community and how you can benefit from the resources and transformational coaching, send us an email to hello@aaccoworking.com. With that said, meet us back on the line. Same time, same place, same station, with more wisdom inspired. Have a wildly productive day. I hope you enjoyed the episode of Wisdom Inspired that was brought to you by the AAC Co-working Community, a virtual community designed to support female entrepreneurs, business owners, and freelance professionals. For more, go to wisdominspired.net.